What's your name and what country are you talking about today?
My name is Jamala and I'm going to be talking about Uruguay.
My name is Nesma and I'm talking about Palestine today.
My name is Madison Bailey and I'm talking about Germany today.
My name is Nathan Sorn and I'm talking about Guatemala.
My name is Jessica and my country is Ireland.
My name is Michelle Barquero Sanchez. I'm from Nicaragua.
My name is Paige. I'm going to be talking about Russia.
Where is it located at?
It's located next to Argentina and Brazil.
Palestine is located in like the Middle East, so like Asia.
In like Europe. It's kind of southern Europe.
It's located in Central America.
In the northeastern region of Europe.
Nicaragua is located in Central America and it's near Panama.
It's between Asia and Europe. It's kind of its own continent.
Can you explain your cultural backgrounds?
Some traditions that we usually use are mate. It's like a green tea, and like even the poorest people would use mate.
The backgrounds, I just got like straight away to like weddings, and our weddings are like one of like a big part of our culture. So we have huge weddings. We have like a wedding is like about like 2 to 3 days. So like the first day is kind of like, you guys know what henna is, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have henna. We wear like these beautiful dresses, and then that's kind of like the family giving away their daughter, like, you know. Then we have the actual wedding, which is, you know, a big part, and I just like love the dancing and just like how we feel kind of unified.
So a lot of times we get together as a big family, we cook big meals. We're mainly like a big family orientated culture.
Most of our traditions are like St. Patrick's Day, and our cultural stuff is like music and dancing and pub culture, which is some like drinking and stuff. And they have this thing called Bridges Cross where they celebrate this really big like Catholic ceremony that they had back in the younger years.
Nicaragua is a very exotic place. A lot of people come here and look at the beaches, look at the mountains. We have a lot of lakes. My favorite lake is usually the Catarina, which is a really huge lake that was created by a volcanic explosion when it was like way back then, right by the dinosaurs. And it's a lot about, we have our own beers, which is the Toña, the Nicaragua Toña. And we also make our own liquor, which is called Flor de Caña, and they're really popular over there. My dad loves Toña all the time, and I've seen a lot of times a lot of beers over there. They're usually from Mexico or from El Salvador, and also Panama. Nicaragua has, I would say, a very Catholic and mostly Catholic, and a small percentage of Christian. We also have a week called Semana Santa, which is like everyone just gathers up. All the students are in school, not in school anymore, and they're just celebrating. And during these celebrations, there always there's gonna be parades. There's gonna be a lot of food. There's gonna be there are a lot of like food wagons where just like these people just like usually they sell their food at restaurants. But they bring out wagons and sell the food in those wagons and sell it out to people for free. And also there's that specific time in that week where it's one of my favorite, where there are school children, or usually teens, they take up chains of just like normal chains, like metal chains, and they tie up a person, and they're considered Jesus. And they're trying to recreate what happened to Jesus, and they drag him along, they throw him, they pretty much do a lot of things to that person, and it might sound really bad, but when you're in that moment, it's a really cool moment. And also this Semana Santa is just the whole week. It happens every day in that week. And there's so many tourists going during that time. There's also a popular food called nacatamal y tamuga. Those are almost like the Mexican version of tamales, and they're just covered in a banana leaf, and they come from rice. They come from masa, and they have types of beef, chicken, pork. And it comes with tomatoes, olives, just anything you can throw in, they're gonna throw it in. Another thing that's also famous there is el ceviche. El ceviche is very popular when you go to the beaches.
We celebrate Christmas late around January 7th, and then most of us are Christian.
What classes like, such as low, middle, and high class?
There's right now it's like low and medium because of like the income and stuff like that.
I'm not really sure about that.
Low classes are like the heavy workers. They basically, you think of old times, like back in the 50s, how low class were car workers, high class they didn't have to work at all, middle class they can work but they don't necessarily have to.
There's a lot of low-class citizens in Guatemala. There's a very low percentage of high class and a decent amount of middle, but mostly low.
We have all 3 classes, but it basically goes like the richer you are, the higher up that you are, and the less that you make, the lower income that you are.
From what I know from the times I visited there, my family comes from a low to middle class. My family owns a restaurant, and they come from a people that owning restaurants. So we're kind of in the low to the middle class. But most of the country, or where the area I'm from, which is Managua, it's a very poor area. Everyone there has like really like bad housing. You have to get clean water from the state, which is expensive, incredibly expensive. And with what the political situation is there right now, it's really bad. And people right now are fighting or throwing everything throwing morals out of the window. So it's a really bad climate right now. So the low income is probably one of the reasons why Nicaragua has a history of like a really high crime rate.
We're typically high middle class.
What are medical treatments like in your country?
For like my family, they've never had anything major done to them.
So I've only been to Palestine like about 3 times, and every time I went I was under the age of like 12. So I haven't really experienced it, but from what I've heard of is it's not that great compared to America's. First, because it's not funded that well, and also they just really don't have like sympathy or feel empathetic to people that are in pain or like people that are giving birth or anything like that.
They're very new. We have a lot of good technology over there. New procedures are very experimental. They're a teaching country.
There's not many. We don't have a lot of doctors or nurses or any type of physicians. And the ones we do have are too expensive for anyone other than the middle to high class.
An Irish resident and a low-income earner are entitled to a medical card, which means that they can have reduced medical costs in their hospitals.
So medical treatments are very poor, and my experience with it was very bad. So when I was really young, around I would say 5 to 6 years old, I had my middle teeth was like stuck between each other, and I went to the dentist. Well, I didn't want to go to the dentist. My grandma took me there, and when she took me there, the line was very long. A lot of people were mostly farmers, were a lot of like restaurant owners, and they were really poor. And this is the most affordable dental office. So when I went in there, they didn't even put a bib on me. They didn't even put an anesthesia on me, which was a very painful. I cried so much, and when I came out of there, they don't even give you medicine because it's so.
One example is we get a newborn shot that leaves a scar on your arm for your whole life.
Are there big facilities or hospitals such as here, or is it like a small clinic?
They do have big hospitals.
I believe that there is big hospitals, but I think primarily there's just little facilities around.
A lot of them are small clinics, and like we don't really have big hospitals over there.
They do have big hospitals, small clinics, and family doctors. The big medical buildings are found in Guatemala City, which is the inner part of Guatemala, but the doctors that most people see are traveling doctors who will go to individuals' houses or go to them instead of them coming to them, because that's more convenient for people.
They have, like, it varies in the sizes, but they're mostly private hospitals.
It's mostly small clinics. Over there, the Medicare, or just like a medical insurance, is not very popular because amongst the people, they're very poor. They can't afford a medical insurance or anything like that. So it's very hard for them to apply to because of their low income, and because usually richer people, they monopolize that.
It's a lot like here, just the hospitals aren't as big as our biggest hospitals here.
Are there a lot of careers in healthcare, such as a nurse, doctor, or surgeons?
Most agriculture activities.
Like again, what I said, I never really experienced it, but there definitely is, like, people go to college to do that. But I feel that their pay isn't as high, so there isn't really a motivation to do that.
Yeah, and like there's a lot of doctors, but they mainly look for nurses and little clinic, like physicians and stuff. We don't have as many surgeons as you do in America.
There's more nurses than there is doctors or surgeons, but it kind of varies on that too.
I would say they are. In my opinion, I think they're not as good over here. Because over here, there's a lot of programs, there's a lot of internships that are available here. Over there in Nicaragua, you have to be at least like let's say you're studying for a dental assistant. You have to be somewhat rich to be working there, because if you're from a low income family, they wouldn't let you in, because it's either they're gonna think of you as you're dirty, as you're pretty much like you're just a dirty person, and we don't want you like dirtying the office pretty much.
Pretty decent amount. It's just not as much as the United States. We're not as focused on healthcare.
Is there insurance or Medicaid like in the US, or do you pay out of the pocket?
Everyone is entitled to insurance, including foreigners.
I believe you pay out of pocket because, first of all, it's not really cheap, but it's cheaper than in America, but I'm not entirely sure.
So the entire country is covered in insurance. You don't have to pay for medical care. You just pay a higher tax rate being a citizen there.
I'm pretty sure you pay out of pocket just because they're traveling doctors for the most part.
They have the medical card that allows them to get reduced on their prices at the hospital.
Most of the people pay out of pocket, but the richer people, they do have medical insurance.
1, 2, 3. How much would an average checkup cost in the US dollars?
For individuals with low incomes, they're free healthcare.
I'm not really sure.
An average checkup in US dollars, maybe $20 if it was something that you wanted outside of your regular checkup.
Don't really know. If I were to make a guess, 30 to 40.
Over there, it's $10.92 an hour, and over here, it'll be $12.04 an hour.
It would be around 3 cents compared to $1 US dollar.
Completely free.
Do you think we as people could help improve it in any way?
Maybe like donating for people who need, especially like poor people.
That Americans could help out the Palestinians, especially with the war that's been going on since basically the 1960s. So I feel that when there's laws being passed in Congress and in the government and things like that, they should have like in their agenda to be trying to protect the Palestinians and not keep feeding the agendas of the Israelis that are just wanting to basically hurt us and try to steal our land. So
I do think we can help improve Germany's healthcare by communicating with each other between nations, donating vaccines for different health issues, because each country is facing a different issue and they can share ideas.
I do think we can. We do mission trips through churches where people can go down to Guatemala and give assistance in financial or just everyday necessities. We could send groups down to train people that are interested in the healthcare field and further help the people of Guatemala to live better lives.
Not really. They just need money.
In my opinion, no. Nicaragua is a very, I would say, conservative and a very communist country. It's very monopolized by the rich people, and even now there's a big political conflict with the president and the people, and it's a lot of.
Not necessarily. I think we have pretty good health care. We need to take precautions on diseases and pollution, which causes a lot of our problems. But other than that, I think we're pretty good.
Thank you for letting me interview today.